sizing up Nebraska's remaining schedule. Huskers 5-1 at the bye. About where you'd hoped and thought they could be. Maybe 6-0 was possible.
Yeah.
But now you look at this back half of the schedule on the road at Indiana, 11 a.m. kick, on the road at Ohio State. So back-to-back road games, then a home game against UCLA, then a bye before USC. Then you go to USC, and then you go to Wisconsin. And Wisconsin comes here, and then Iowa at night. So on paper, there's probably only 2 games of the 6 that Nebraska will be Vegas favorites in, UCLA and Wisconsin. We know they're at least an early 3.5-point dog at Indiana, and that may go up. Ohio State, they're going to be a dog. At USC, they're going to be a dog. And at Iowa, they're probably going to be a slight dog as well. So the metrics say they're going to go 2-4. What says you?
Well, I saw you on the chat today, on our HuskerOnline chat. You said the margins are really slim. The margins for error. That's what we're talking about. You could easily see Nebraska winning 4 of those games.
2 to 4 games.
Yeah, 2 to 4. But that's the key. Would it be 2 or would it be 4? And therein lies the
margin of error range is
right.
significant. Like,
yeah, I really believe. I mean, come on, in college football, momentum is gigantic. If you can beat Purdue, Rutgers, and then get one at Indiana, you got serious momentum going to Ohio State, and you don't know. You never know. Nebraska's defense, if it's what I think it is, it'll always be in every game.
Well, okay. What happens to Ohio State at Oregon this weekend, too? I mean, there's a lot of things.
Watch it close.
Like, Ohio State hasn't played anybody good yet.
Nope. They've had what'd you say? Their 109th strength.
And Indiana's got the 108th.
So watch, if I'm a Nebraska fan, I'm watching Ohio State really closely this weekend. I'm watching USC against Penn State really closely. We'll get into that later.
Like, I think Will Howard's a good quarterback, but by no means, when I compare him to past Ohio State quarterbacks, do I think he's better than the guys they've had before.
Right. Oh, I totally agree. Now, I do want to establish Ohio State. Many people would say they're the best team in the country. 2
elite running backs, 3 or 4 elite receivers.
Oh, yeah. Jeremiah Smith might be the best receiver in the country as a freshman.
Elite pass rushers.
Yeah. So back to the schedule. God, if you get Indiana and get to 6-1, I mean, you're just at that point, anything seems kind of possible at that point. Like, if they get to 6-1, you start thinking about playoff a little bit if you're a Nebraska fan. Does Nebraska... We'll get into Nebraska have that kind of offense, can get the special teams in shape. I don't know, but I think we can say that the defense is. I think you could say the defense is that level of defense, but it's always a week-to-week discussion. Let's see what they got against Indiana.
I love that Cignetti's got that team 6-0. I got it right, didn't I?
Yes, Kurt Cignetti. Yes.
Michael Severe did a prank on me today. He said, there's an Indiana fan that's clipping all the ways you mispronounce his name, and they're sending it to the staff as motivation.
Oh, that was,
and I thought he was for real. I'm like,
God. Well, at one point you said Skinetti,
spaghetti,
Cignetti. Why do you like that?
Because rolling? The focus level for Nebraska. Like,
yes,
like you're not. This is not like a 3-3 Indiana team where you think that all right, we're going to go out there and win. Uh-huh. Like, you're kind of going out there as the dog.
Yep. Oh God, that's a great point.
And Rule can sell that all these next 2 weeks that, let's go out there and show them who we are. Let's play our game.
Think about the world, how much has changed. See what we're talking about right now? Think about it in the context of 20 years ago. We're talking about Nebraska going to Indiana as an underdog. And a legit underdog. Take it another step, Sean. We're talking about 5-1 Nebraska going to Indiana as an underdog. Talk about the world changing. That's incredible.
When you think about Indiana's program, they've had some moments. Like DeBoer was the offensive coordinator. They probably had the right guy on their staff that should have been the head coach.
They haven't had many moments though.
Antoine Randall L. And then
what year was that?
In the 90s.
Yeah, in the 90s.
And then Lee Corso's is like obviously
70s
tied to, even though he didn't win in Indiana.
Right.
But like those are the 3 things I recently think about Indiana. Lee Corso's, Antoine Randall L. And then obviously DeBoer being there with Michael Penix.
Yeah, that they had some teams there.
Penix played in Lincoln in 2019, right?
They were all right.
But you would have never known in 2019 that Penix was going to be a first-round pick and DeBoer was going to be the coach of Alabama.
Mhm.
I mean, and DeBoer was Tom Allen's OC.
Yeah.
But all right.
Yeah. So sizing it up, well, for one thing, it's really exciting. I mean, it's going to be because all these games are going to be close. Maybe with the exception of Ohio State. You're just not going to know. Can Nebraska beat USC on the road? Of course they can. Of course they can.
I hope that Ohio State game's at 11 because the one time Nebraska actually had a chance to win out there was in 11. When they've played out there at night, even with some ranked Nebraska teams, they've got their clocks cleaned.
It's a different atmosphere for sure. I mean, the one thing we can say definitively, when you go out there for an 11 a.m. game, the stadium's not sold out. There's empty seats. It's
a rugged, like blue collar crowd too. I mean, they're in you. I mean, it's not.
That's at night. During the day, it's still a rugged blue collar crowd, but it's comparatively tame as most places are during the day. But at Ohio State, it's really stark how much different it is in terms of difficulty during the day. I just want to emphasize it's not sold. I mean, it might be sold out, but
there'll be some no shows.
A lot of empty seats.
Well, getting into that stadium absolutely stinks. Like the drive-in.
Oh God, it does.
I mean, it's like you're checking into a military base.
Yeah.
There's like tanks and checkpoints, and I mean, it's insane amount just to get to your parking spot.
It's rough.
I mean, like there's German I mean, it's like, where are we going here?
Right.
Like a football game, but yeah, their level of security at the Horseshoe is next level.
Sean, you're right though. Nebraska doesn't want a night game there.
No, nobody does.
No, it's one of the greatest examples I've seen. Memorial Stadium is
Penn State. We've only played there once at night, and that was 2002.
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't want any part of that ever again.
No, that's hardcore. That's hardcore. Nebraska's like that too, though. Nebraska's much different at night.
2002 Penn State at night.
Oh God.
Like that was one of their first night games. They didn't have a lot of night games.
So that was Larry Johnson running all over the field.
Yeah.
That was Jamal Lord as a young quarterback is one of his first
Tamba Ali was on the Chiefs edge guy who played for that team.
Yeah, they were good, and Jamal wasn't ready for it. That's what I remember. His eyes were just huge.
Oh, nobody was ready for that.
Yeah.
I mean, that was you didn't really realize what those big stadiums were like at that time because Big Ten teams didn't play night games back then.
That's right. That's right. It was wicked. And Ohio State's that way too, but
Michigan not so much.
At night.
Well, Michigan,
they don't really.
Ward Manuel, among many of his requests, is not to really play a lot of night. They'll play 2 night games a year.
Many requests.
2 night games a year is the max they'll play, and I think one of them has to be early.
Now, we don't need to bicker over this. I get this a lot from people that say that, and other people I've worked with too, that Michigan's quiet, it's not allowed. I just don't understand it. I've been there. It's tough. That's a tough place to play.
The sound travels up though. There's not like Nebraska Stadium has the walls,
right?
And it brings the sound in. Michigan Stadium is like an Olympic bowl.
Yeah, it probably goes up. Man, I think it's still done.
It does. The sound doesn't stay in.
Okay.
Arrowhead Stadium is an example of a stadium where the sound really stays in. That might be the loudest stadium in the country. When the Chiefs are rolling and whatnot.